Poppin' B. Purpok here, and welcome back to another episode of Rates the Ramen, the show where I attempt to review something unscripted in the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today we're going to be taking a look at Spongebob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, which I'm just going to refer to as Spongebob Rehydrated for the time being. And if you happen to notice any little quirks with my footage, that was my computer, not the game itself. It looks better than I'm showing it, okay? Just on the record. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so, SpongeBob Rehydrated. If you've never played this game before, which you could have, maybe, this is a remake of the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era game, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, which is a 3D platforming collectathon starring SpongeBob and friends that gained some cult following popularity over the years. Largely through its speedrunning community. Look into it, it's actually pretty interesting. And it has been remade, republished by THQ Nordic, and the first game from studio made of veteran developers, Purple Lamp Studios. And it's not perfect, there's definitely some things to pick apart here, but it's still the same solidly made, enjoyable 3D platformer that it always was, and now it's got a fresh coat of paint. The game's been remade from the ground up with new controls and new graphics and all that. The new graphics look fantastic in the right circumstances. I played this game on PC on a high-end desktop, so it was going at the strongest it could. And I had very, very few issues. Very few bugs of any kind, anything like that. It just looked nice, played well, never crashed. And yeah, it's a pretty reasonable package for what they're offering. It's $30, which I really do appreciate. The fact that it's not full price or $40 or whatever. They cut that in half because they're like, hey, just whatever. This is a budget title, even if it is good. And I appreciate that. And it took me about 5-6 hours to get through it. Then again, I did grow up playing this game a lot, so it might have been easier for me than some people. And it might be easy for some people in general because it is a children's game. But it does have its fair spikes of difficulty. I think most people are familiar with the rolling ball level and the kelp slide and all those other things. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. Should you buy this if you haven't grown up with the series or the game itself? I'd say so. This would be a great game to introduce to your children if they like SpongeBob. It's a very easy, accessible 3D platformer. It controls well, and there's plenty of variety. You can play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. All their own abilities and controls, and they're all fun to play around with. There's tons of mini-games and different styles of gameplay within the game itself, and the core foundation is solid, going to recognizable SpongeBob locations and just, like, soaking in the atmosphere, which is even better now with the new graphics, and collecting tons and tons of different collectibles to 100% the whole thing. It's replayable, considering a lot of the quality of life things it has, like being able to skip back to certain parts of levels should you want to, and just warping certain places, no live system. All that stuff is still good, and it's not a perfect release, we'll get to that in a second, but would I say it's good? Yeah, SpongeBob Rehydrated is pretty good. Pretty good. Hopefully that gave you a decent impression of what I think of the game. And I'd like to address one major thing before we move on. I could not do this review without discussing this. There is no perfect version of SpongeBob Rehydrated because its launch has been a little bit creaky. I don't really blame Purple Lamp for this because the perfectly running PC version on a desktop looks great, plays great, next to nothing wrong with it. The console versions, and still even the PC version, have their own fair share of bugs. Lots of reviewers mentioned this, and they were like, oh, there's a day one patch coming, so it won't affect most people, but I have a feeling that the somewhat mixed review scores were partially influenced by the unfortunate state of some of the builds sent out to reviewers. That being said, that 2 out of 10 from GameSpot is still bullshit. What universe do you live in? But based on my personal experience. The PC version ran reasonably well on my medium-strength laptop, almost perfectly, on my desktop, and the crashes, just minor collision things and little graphical flicks here and there. And then my girlfriend has it on the Xbox and said that it looks pretty good and has still its own fair share of bugaboos, but nothing crazy. Haven't heard much about the PS4 version. It seems to be a little bit cleaner. But the Switch version has some problems. Now, not crazy problems. Mostly. What's wrong with me? Mostly the fact that, well, okay, slight graphical downgrade is expected with a Switch port, I guess, but there's also some serious pop-in issues at times, frame drops, weird graphical quirks, the loading times are much longer. It's acceptable. It's still the same pretty good game at its core, and you can mostly get used to these problems. And I'm sure a lot of them will go away with patches, because Purple Lamp has been diligently taking care of this stuff. But for now, in order of hierarchy of which one you should play if you want to play this game at its most fulfilling, Switch at the bottom, then Xbox One, then PS4, then running it on a medium-strength PC, then running it on a high-end PC. Either way, I don't think you can go too terribly wrong. It's a pretty solid game, and I'm gonna take a little bit off for the state of the launch, but not much. Overall, I would still highly recommend this game, or reasonably recommend this game, especially if you're a parent with children who like SpongeBob or just want to relive the glory days. I'd give SpongeBob Rehydrated an overall, taking into account all the ports, good and bad and all that stuff, solid 7 out of 10. Pretty cut and dry on this one. I enjoyed it. I'll probably play it again. Getting extra footage for it led to me playing it more than I needed to. So it's a classic in many ways, but it's still not the best platformer ever made. I personally never thought it was a masterpiece. I still think it's good, but I have more nostalgia for the movie game, honestly. I'd love to see that get rehydrated. I don't want to be dramatic, but if it did, I think I would cry.
Cry all you want, but not here. We just wax the floors.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking out to the end of the video. I appreciate it a lot. If you like it, I've got a whole playlist of Race the Ramens on my channel, as well as other completely different videos if you want to check those out. If you want to keep up to date on projects I might be working on and videos I might be doing, feel free to follow me on Twitter at BurtBachPartyBus. I also have a Patreon, which I'll leave a link to in the description if you're into that sort of thing. Thank you so much again for sticking out to the end of the video. I will see you all next time, which is hopefully soon. Have a good night. Take care. Goodbye, guys.